somebody told me once that was like, oh, like you walk into the room like tits first. Like that's the first thing people notice about you is that you have like huge boobs. And I was like, wow, that is so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, and for you to say that's the first thing you notice, like that is devastating to me.
Your body is not the first thing that I ever see or recognize when you walk into a space.
Thank you.
And I hate that someone said that to you. I just want to affirm that you are just a beautiful being in general, in energy and in body. And I don't want you to feel like you're subjected to what those people have said to you.
Thank you, Claire.
You're welcome. Love you.
Like, love you, bestie. Right, exactly. What is a myth that you realize, like, from porn that's, like, it doesn't actually apply to the real world? Like, what was something that was, like, myth busted for you?
You know what myth was busted for me? Is, like, it being easy. Like, especially when, like, penetration comes into play. Like, you know, even in movies, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna put you up on this counter and boom, now we're thrusting. I'm like, in the beginning, I really felt like that's how it should have been. And obviously, very soon, I realized, yeah, that's not how it happens. And I think that even in, like, having to, like, do things, I get embarrassed. I'm like, oh, I'm blushing but we're naked together right now. Like, why am I feeling embarrassed that, like, we have to figure out what works for our bodies? But, like, that's a big myth that was busted for me.
In some versions of porn, like only seeing specific storylines play out, we're only seeing like ways where it doesn't really look like the woman is completely having a good time or that their pleasure's not being prioritized, like things like that. It can really mess with your mind and mess with your idea of what your sexual experiences are supposed to be. And I feel like seeing a lot of that sort of content first definitely affected me in my own life when it came to, you know, when it was time for me to have sex, because then it was like, I had all of these really skewed expectations of how I was supposed to be treated.
So many of us learn about sex through porn. And I think as we're recognizing this, it's important to talk about porn literacy. How do we read porn as maybe made like kind of like an action movie? You know, like there's so much that we don't actually get. Like we might just be getting like the action shot and you're not getting like that people signed consent forms beforehand, or that they got testing beforehand, or that they negotiated the scene with their partners. Developing that porn literacy can be really important to undoing some of the messages we may be getting from mainstream porn.
Oh, is it 5:30? I'm sorry, that's my birth control.
You got it, Elijah.
I'm so It's off now. For the past like year, I was single. And then like the year before that, I was like only dating women. And so I hadn't needed birth control. And so very recently I started like taking it again. For me, birth control is a way for me to like really take charge of like what's happening in my own body. So what are ways that for both of you, like what are ways that you're like constructing your ideas of like safety and like the things that make you feel good and the things that make you feel like you're in control and creating the kind of culture that you want to see around you?
I don't want to be like too heavy, but as both of you know, my first sexual experience was not voluntary. So now that I have a partner and I, you know, am in control and like can consent and participate in these sexual experiences, I think it's really important for me and for others to feel comfortable speaking up about what they like and don't like. And specifically if you like want to stop at any point. But there's a lot of pressure on the idea that like, if you start, you can't stop until you reach like a certain goal, or like, you know, that, you know, sex begins and then it just goes all the way until it ends and there's no breaks, there's no pauses. Like I was having sex recently and it was a little too rambunctious. I needed to breathe. I was like, hold up, stop.
It's really important to talk about the things that we see in our regular media, especially with these bodies being Black bodies and not seeing Black bodies depicted, one, in differing ways, but often seeing them hypersexualized. So big boobs, small waist, big butt, that's what you're supposed to have. And if you don't have that, you're considered less than. But also, if you don't enjoy those things, something's wrong with you. If you don't hype up that femininity and that sexiness, then you're discardable and you're not valuable.
What was the moment for you when you realized that instead of being they/she or trying to kind of have the other one still slightly attached to you, that you just dropped them completely and was like, I understand, like, they is who I am, this is what I want to do?
I just remember like being so young and like always being corrected around who I was and how people were supposed to perceive me. And so like my mom would be like, you need to be more dainty, like you need to be more graceful. And like graceful and dainty are just so far away from what you would ever describe me as. Like I realized it was not grace that I was trying to channel, it was womanhood. And I was like, I shouldn't have to try to be a woman. I should not have to try to be this thing.
That's so me. That was definitely me up until like when I just got my breast reduction last month. My mom was asking me after the surgery was over and I was looking in the mirror and I started crying. And she was like, oh, like, is it a hard adjustment to look in the mirror and see what you see now? And I'm like, no, I'm crying because this is what I always saw in my mind. Like, this is what I am supposed to look like. This is like such a better, it represents me and like my gender better. So what I was seeing before was actually wrong. And I'm like, oh, dysphoria cured. Like, it was just like a really great moment.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm like, that was my aha moment. It was literally like last month. But no, I feel so much better in my body now.
When we think about the sex education of tomorrow, what do we want it to include?
I am, like, I've been a person who, just like we were talking about earlier with like watching porn, I think that really like, one of the things that stuck in my head was the idea that like sex always finishes with something and it's like something big. And so I think that for me, I just had to like take a second, step back and be like, wait, that's not how it feels for me. That's not the reaction that I'm having. That's not what's going on in my head or in my body. And so, like, once I allowed myself to like really think about what I was actually feeling, then I could have fun during sex. Because like before that point, I was just like performing. Like I was like, I'm on a stage.
If you're kind of in a abstinence-only type environment, which is like where I came from, it's like they're not gonna tell you about that. They don't want you to know that it's supposed to feel good. They're just like, no, it's about like babies and stuff. So I feel like having like queer sex ed that really talks about the anatomy of pleasure, I think that would be really helpful.
If we had a pleasure inclusive lens, like a queer inclusive lens, we could avoid so much discomfort and suffering. Let's talk to people the way we're actually experiencing sex.
I so appreciate being able to meet you, witness all of your stories. So thank you for that.
Like, honestly, just being in your space makes me feel empowered. And so I just thank you.
Rolling box of tissues.
I know. Are you really?
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, yes.